Hey, GLP-1 plus sides community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I really want to share something personal with you. About, I want to say like 8 to 10 months ago, after losing 100 pounds on GLP-1s and keeping it off for a long time, I started regaining out of nowhere, and I was terrified. But I also started having hot flashes and bouts of crying and snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. unable to go back to sleep. It turns out I was in perimenopause. So I started hormone replacement therapy, which is also called HRT, through a telehealth called Winona that specializes in this. And it changed everything. And now I'm sleeping better. And my hot flashes are all but gone, thank God. And I feel like myself again. And it turns out that you can actually start perimenopause as early as 35. And well, I'm 46 and she's here. HRT has really come a long way and there's just no need to suffer anymore. So if you're like this and you're in the same boat, you can check out buywinona.com and you can use the link in our link tree to save some money.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper. With results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster. Confidence higher. Price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Welcome to the Plus Sides podcast. Hey, Kat.
Hey, hi. How are you? Welcome to the Plus Sides with a Z.
Yeah, with a Z. Don't forget the Z. It's quite controversial. They're like, but plus size? And I don't really know. I'm like, read it. And then I'm like, and then people are like, you should change the name. I'm like, you're talking about it. You not think I do that stuff on purpose? I do it on purpose so you talk about it. Because that's what makes engagement, friends. All right, let's do quick intros. All right, ready? Hey, I'm Kim. So if you are not new here, like if you're like a reg, right? This is your cue to fast forward so you don't have to listen to Kat and I tell our story real quick again. But hey, I'm Kim. This is the Plus Sides podcast, Cracking the Obesity Code. We are a podcast that focuses on metabolic health and kind of all things that have to do with that. Mind, body, spirit, to be honest. And definitely have our listeners or people who have metabolic disease, whether that's type 2 diabetes, obesity is a big one, obviously, PCOS, etc. So that's what we talk about here. We are trying to focus on changing things. So we like to have on guests that talk about their stories that you can relate with to move your heart. And then we have on doctors to validate those stories with facts, science, and data to move your head, because that is the goal, to be able to change this bullshit narrative that's out there that there is anything other than no such thing as fat and lazy, right, Kat? No such thing.
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
So that's what we do here. We're so glad to have you with us today. This has like always been kind of like a round table discussion, moving this needle a little forward, a little bit at a time. It's working, I think, slowly. I don't know. I just keep showing up. But we're so glad to have you. I've been on GLP-1s for 3 years. I lost 110 pounds. I have regained weight since I started perimenopause. I am activating all the things again, activation, like the apps and the walking and the weight training now and all the stuff. And losing weight again, thank God. That's I say thank God, just because I just didn't want to see 10 more come and 10 more come, because it's just terrifying mentally for all that. But this is quite the mind shift for me. And this is my dear friend, Kat. Tell us all about Kat, who you are, what you're doing, why you're here.
Hey, what's up? What's up? I'm really excited that you're into fitness now. I just really am.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
And it's very unexpected because
it's very
like
weird.
Suddenly you're like, it's kind of a jam, and that's exciting.
It's right? Utterly bizarre.
It's kind of exciting. My name is Kat. I have been on the Mounjaros. I say it Mounjaros, don't you know? Like a good Nebraskan and South Dakotan. And I've lost 80 pounds. I liken myself as to the microphone. I liken myself as a plus size fitty. I've always been into fitness ever since forever. And it's really cool. I can finally feel like I look like exterior wise how I've always kind of felt inside, what the fitness did to me internally. But I know that no amount of crash dieting, because I did that all my life, no amount of crash dieting and no amount of half marathons or boot camp classes and everything that you train for can chase away insulin resistance for me. Yeah. And so it was the missing piece, the tool. And I always say on my socials, you can follow me at Kat Carter 7. The GLP-1 doesn't work if you don't work. Yeah. I think there's a popular misconception that everybody thinks that we do not work. It's work. So
it's work in some way. Like you're doing something, trust me. This is not an easy peasy lemon squeezy situation. And no. I mean, it's not that you won't eat less and then lose weight automatically, but there is a stop to it. And you also don't want to teach your muscles. So there's lots of things you gotta do. Well, your body too, I'm obviously oversimplifying and being ridiculous. However, y'all aren't here for us. You're here for our guests. So let's bring our guests today. We have 2. So we will start with our first one. Welcome in, Jamie. Welcome in.
Jamie, it feels like we just saw you last week.
Because it feels like we just hung out in the gym together of all places.
It is like that. Yeah. My favorite thing that you taught me in the gym, Jamie, is it was very reassuring because we worked on the gym together. We went to the Obesity Action Coalition and went to the conference, had a lovely time. And we did some workouts with Jamie. And my favorite thing that Jamie would do when we were working out is he would go, I can tell you could lift more than that. You go, I can tell you're stronger than that. I could tell. And it wasn't in a way where I was like, do you want me to punch you? Like, which is like, I feel like how anybody else but it was a positive thing. And I was like, okay, I'll try more, and it was really nice. I enjoyed the entire experience. It was so wonderful. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad, the night before I had basically threatened your lives in the gym and said, I'm going to make tomorrow. But that was just more out of fun than anything. I'm so proud of you. It was very fun to just meet both of you. And it's such an honor to be on the plus sides. I've been watching and listening to your podcast for years. I've been on a GLP-1 for years, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but only recently started really talking about it. And your podcast is, one of the OGs where I learned a lot from. And so to be able to spend time with you both and work out with you, and, I think I can call you friends now. Like what a huge honor it is. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
The feeling is mutual.
Absolutely mutual for sure. Yeah, we're thrilled. I mean, I know. So little intro for Jamie. Jamie, just like you mentioned, really only started sharing recently. And he popped into my live one day and he was like, Kim, I'm going to be on this huge podcast. And I was like, what? And tell us a little bit about that, about what the podcast was that you were on.
Yeah. So, just to start, I've lost 340 pounds using a GLP-1. My highest weight was 652, which was about 3 years ago. And I'd been, above 500 pounds for the last 20 years. And during COVID, like many of us had gained quite a bit. And went on a GLP-1 2 years ago. I went from 650 to 600, the quote unquote old fashioned way that many of us are aware of. And I knew that it was not going to last. And so I went on a GLP-1 2 years ago, which I've been on now, and I've lost 290 in those 2 years. And as part of that process, I lost a lot of weight, but I have a lot of loose skin, huge amount of loose skin, which when I'm on like a TikTok live or Instagram, people are surprised about because they see me chest up, but it's like, no, I have a lot of loose skin. It's just around my midsection more than anything. And so I'm a big fan of this podcast called Mind Pump. Mind Pump's the #1 health and fitness podcast in the world. And, hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers and listeners. And so they take viewer calls. And so I emailed a question and say, hey, you're all personal trainers. I have all this loose skin. It's getting in the way in the gym. What advice do you have? So they had me on to ask a question, and they liked my story and said, hey, we'll fly you out to California and be on our show. And I did that. And it was totally unexpected. And so around that same time, they said, hey, this is going to get a lot of attention. You may want to start creating some social media content, because otherwise people are going to just try to find you. They're going to Google you and get your phone number, get your address, and they're going to want to talk to you and get advice from you and all that. So I started posting on Instagram and TikTok and talking about my journey. And that leads me to you here today.
Yeah, I love it. I love your lives because, I have a way that I do them where you have to kind of repeat yourself and who you are and what. Then I would come in and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm Jamie, and blah, 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 because you're learn how to do it. So first of all, before you tell everything, I want you guys all to make sure that you can follow Jamie on TikTok and Instagram, because his lives are very, very motivational and inspirational and all the things that you could hope. And I just think that if you're that kind of person, you want to be there. Okay. So if you're on this journey and you want to connect, please do, because it's special. It really, really is. And I'm so glad to have you here. I would love to know, that's kind of your high level story, but you told a very, very special story on Mind Pump that literally brought me to tears like a big baby. And I would love if you would tell us more about that. Quick pause here. I've had moments on my GLP-1 journey where insurance changes or rising costs force me to look for a new provider. And honestly, that process can feel very overwhelming. But that's why the Plus Sides podcast has partnered with GLP Winner to give our subscribers a resource to help them make that decision easier. GLP Winner is a comparison platform that lets you explore telehealth providers in all 50 states, whether you're looking for brand name medications or compounded options. You can see pricing up front, read reviews, and get a clear picture of which provider might align best with your needs. Check it out today at glpwinner.com/plussides. That's glpwinner.com/plussides. Don't forget the Z. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through the same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise." That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Just which aspect of my story you're curious about?
I was thinking about the airplane, and I was thinking about the airport, and specifically those pieces, because I feel like that is something we all felt.
Cameras, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things when you're carrying a lot of extra weight, when you have obesity, you whether people are watching you all the time or not, you sort of feel that they are. And they often are. You see the eyes. And when I was on there, they sort of asked me, so their audience is fitness bros and gym bunnies and personal trainers. And in addition to people who are trying to get healthy, but for the most part, they're folks who don't understand the struggle that the three of us have and have had and will always have, regardless of a medication. And so I wanted to make sure that when they asked, that I talked about the experience, what it's like. And so, one of the questions I got from them, or I get if I'm on a TikTok live, or even in my personal life, is what is it like being that big?
Yeah.
And so the story you're referencing is about travel. And probably the hardest thing that you have to do if you are 50, 100, 200, whatever pounds of overweight is flying. And it's incredibly difficult. It's uncomfortable for everyone. No one really likes to fly.
It sucks everywhere. We're
but when you're that size, you don't fit in the seats. You need seatbelt extenders. And so I worked for Amazon for many, many years. And at one point I lived in Europe and I had to travel 250 days a year. So I was in airports literally 2 or 3 times a week. I was in an airport.
Wow.
And I would constantly see people staring at me. So when you're on the plane, you experience the moment, and I'm not sure if you two have experienced this, but I guarantee some have who are listening, which is you're sitting in the seat, you know that you're taking up too much room, and you see every person walking down the aisle, and they're looking at you, and you see in their eyes fear that they're going to have the seat next to you.
Yes.
And I've seen that look thousands of times, the look of fear when they see me, and the look of relief when they walk past me. And particularly in Europe, where it's 600 plus pounds at that point, I was already bigger than the biggest person most people had ever seen. But that's especially true in Europe, which the folks just tend to be a little bit smaller than in the US. And so there were so many times I'd be walking through the airport where people would sort of like jab each other and point at me, and would see it often, and multiple times where I'd find people taking a picture of me, like a secret picture of me. And it's obvious when someone's taking a picture of you, especially if they're holding. It'd be one thing if they looked like they were trying to like take a selfie and were sneaking a picture that way, but they would like hold it low and like pointing it up at me. Like obviously you're not taking a selfie of your knees.
Yeah.
And so it was really difficult. And I'm a confident person.
Yeah.
I am a positive, optimistic person. I always have, regardless of my size. But I tell you, it is a real struggle when you are going out, because you're traveling to work. So you're going there for work, and you have no choice but to do it. And you know that it is going to be a brutal 5 hours there. And all you want to do is get through it and get back to your hotel and hide in the room and not be seen by anyone and not see anyone. And that was an average sort of normal thing at that size. And I have empathy for anyone who's still going through that today. Yeah. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing and telling my story and going on a TikTok or Instagram and sharing it and spending a lot of time doing it, because I'm always mindful. Maybe there's like one person out there, and I'm the one person they're going to identify with.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm the one that can help them navigate to a better, healthier life that no one else can do for them. Just like there's someone out there who I will never reach, but who one of you will reach.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we all have to do what we can. Right?
Yeah. It's true.
I think, Jamie, I remember you telling me that when you had kind of started on this path, you were doing it the natural way, as you say, and then you met someone that made you think differently. Remember?
Yeah. So is it kind of interesting? And this was a few years back. This is 2021. Mm-hmm. I was on a flight. It was the first flight sort of post all the COVID stuff. So like we were still wearing masks and all of that. And I was on a flight back to North Dakota from Seattle, where I was living. And again, on a plane, and I was crowding, and there was this woman next to me who was very much smaller than me. And I felt so bad. And I was apologizing to her and, telling her like, I'm sorry, and she was so kind and said basically like, hey, it's okay. I don't need much space. And after a little while on the flight, because it's about a 3-hour flight, she mentioned that she was an endocrinologist. She was a medical doctor. And this was early 2021. And she said, she asked if I had ever considered any sort of medical intervention. And she must have been able to tell that I was okay talking about it because I think I'd maybe even said something to her. But I said, I never considered a bariatric procedure. And she said, well, there's this new class of medications that are just coming out that I think are going to rival bariatric surgery at some point. And it really could make a huge difference for you. And she gave me her card and said, when you get back to Seattle, she had offices on both sides of the country. When you get back to Seattle, call me up and let me know. And we'll talk about it. And I never did. And I didn't do it because at the time I thought, well, I can, I don't need to do this. I don't need a medicine. Plus it also seems so far-fetched that I could just take a shot and that would be. Sure. And so I'm like, wow, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't regret it. I mean, it would have been nice to start earlier. I certainly, through this whole process, I've really found that giving yourself grace and forgiveness is really, really important. So I forgive myself for not calling her and going in, especially when I found out that these medications were basically free at the start, just so they could get people to use them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I give myself some forgiveness for that because I was maybe just not ready. I was just not in the right space. And in my case, you talk about rock bottom. I needed to get, unfortunately, to a rock bottom. And that's what eventually happened for me. And when that was the case, then I was ready to be open to all the change I needed to make to live healthy, which included a GLP-1 and walking and weightlifting and those kinds of things as well.
Yeah. What was your moment like in terms of that you were like, I'm ready? Like, was there a specific time that you can remember?
Yeah. I'm going to try not to get emotional.
Too bad.
I get emotional whenever I
plus
talk
size,
about
Jamie. I make everybody cry.
I'm going to I won't be happy unless all three of us are crying.
Well, I will. Good God.
So really it was kind of a three things that happened all within about a month of each other. And they compounded. One was I went out to a dinner to a friend's house with a group of us. My friend is in his 70s. I've known him for years. He's a personal hero of mine. I love the guy named Mike. And he and his wife hosted a dinner for us. And on the way out, he pulled me aside and he said, he called me Kitty because that friend group, my nickname is Kitty with them. So he says, Kitty, I want you to go to my funeral. I don't want to go to your funeral. And when someone in his 70s tells you that he's more likely to go to your funeral than the other way around, that really opened my eyes to realize that nobody my size was still alive in their 50s. They just weren't. And or extremely unlikely to be alive in your 50s. Not long after that, I had gone to my sister's wedding. I officiated her wedding in Florida, and I'd had to walk on the beach on the sand in the northern part of Florida. And it was so hard to walk on the sand. And you look at the video of me, I just look so rough in this video. And I feel so bad because these are this is her wedding. And now I just look so bad in the video and unhealthy. But after the wedding, we were taking a big group picture and I tripped on the sand and I fell on the beach and I couldn't get up. I was stuck. And I was terrified that someone was going to take a video and I was going to be the whale on the beach kind of, fat guy stuck on the beach kind of viral meme. And that's the kind of thing that gets shared a million times online. And I was laughing about it because, it's funny, I didn't, it's sand. It's not like I cracked my head open or anything. But fortunately, one of the guys that was there is an amateur power lifter and who basically just picked me up, popped me up like I was a feather. It's amazing.
Wow.
So there was no video as far as I know, and nothing ever went viral. And So that was a wake-up call. And then probably the hardest thing was a few weeks after that, where, when you're that size, everything's more difficult, everything. And in the morning, I'd use the toilet, and I couldn't get up off the toilet. I was just physically unable. My knees were such bad shape. I had so much weight on me and was weak, and I couldn't get up. And I had a moment of panic where I thought, like, am I going to die this way? Maybe not at this exact moment, but is it going to be something like this where I am immobile and stuck and I can't get up? And what does that mean for my family? What does that mean for the person who finds me? Eventually, I was able to get up out of there and had dark thoughts, not about self-harm thoughts, but thoughts like, what do you do with someone that size with their body? Like, am I going to have to put my family through this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And it was a sign that my mobility was becoming extremely limited. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I had maybe a few months left where I was going to be one of these people that's like on a bed and totally immobile.
Yeah.
And I thought, my worst case is not dying in 5 years. My worst case is being immobile and being unable to function or help myself, and then eventually dying in some sad way. And now me, who has always been a happy, optimistic person, who's always tried to be caring for others, is now going to be remembered as someone whose end of life was miserable and sad.
Yeah.
And so I said, if I'm going to die young, at least I'm going to die trying. And started moving a little bit more, started eating a little bit better, lost some weight, got the help with the GLP-1. And now, right before we filmed this, I just did a 5-mile walk, which is just a normal thing that I do. And 3 years ago, I couldn't have walked 30 feet without being out of breath. But today, the only reason I stopped at 5 miles was to record this podcast with you. I could have done another 3 or 4 easily.
There you go.
So I am very, very grateful. I'm incredibly grateful of the opportunity that I've given to live my life again. And so now, I don't know if I just turned 47. I don't know if I'll live to 50 or not, but I know that the chances of that are significantly better than they were a few years ago. Yeah. But what I care more about is I know that I'm now using my body in a way that gives me joy every day. And it's not like a prison like it used to be.
Mm-hmm. When did you start lifting?
So I started lifting. So my high was 650. I started a GLP-1 at 600. I started weightlifting when I got to 550.
Okay.
And then I started walking a lot at 475. Mm-hmm. So that's why I encourage people, like, do what you're actually able to do.
Yeah.
And when I started weightlifting, it was very basic. It was using just my body, like body weight squats, where you just stand up and sit down, or using resistance bands. And then I went to a gym, and I strongly encourage people to do resistance training. And there's so many reasons for it, but at a minimum, you want to keep your muscle while you are doing any sort of weight loss, whether it's GLP-1 or not. Yeah. So I then started going to the gym, and since then, for the last 18 or probably 20 months now, I've gone to the gym 4 days a week. So I lift, and all I do is lift weights. I joke I don't do cardio. I never break a sweat. It's very rare for me to break a sweat. I walk and I lift weights, and that's really been super important for me.
Yeah,
that's a little awesome. Cardio. Walking's a little. Yeah.
It is cardio, but you won't see me on a treadmill or a stair climb or something like that. I think it's great for those who want to do that.
Sure, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, I really get a lot of joy out of weightlifting.
I called Kat the other day, Jamie, and I was like, is it weird that I want to exercise again today? Like, is that too much? And am I looking for binging behavior, doing stuff like this? And she goes, no, I don't think so. She goes, but do you want to go out and walk in Satan's ass crack? Because it's in August in Atlanta. And I was like, no, I'll go to my elliptical.
I told her, as long as she's not doing CrossFit twice a day, because there is a thing is exercise purging. Yeah. So it's
well, there's so many things people can do from home. So on my TikTok, I do workouts from home where I actually work out live with folks and I schedule it out. I also post a bunch of videos of things you can do from home. So I have 2 rules for when I do this stuff. I only do things that I would have been able to do at 600 pounds. And I don't do anything that involves getting on the ground and getting back up, because I know that's incredibly difficult for folks who have extra weight. And it's difficult for anyone, especially as you get a little bit older.
Yeah.
And so I do whatever I can to demonstrate that you can start wherever you are now. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good when it comes to working out. You don't have to be like some 5-time-a-week gym person. You can be a stand up and sit down 5 times during a commercial. You can be that person. That's a fine place to start.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things that you were teaching Mike and I in the gym was how to do squats without doing squats, like within the traditional way that you would think of it, which was, I was telling him I do kettlebells. And so I saw him teaching Mike with a kettlebell, and he was just teaching Mike how to like get up and get down and how that's a squat thing. And so Kat and I started a little fitness day that we do on the YouTube channel for the podcast, where we do exactly what you're talking about, but she does it together. So she makes the workouts for me and then teaches me how to do them. So everybody can kind of do them with us on a live and go back and see, and people love them. And we started doing that. But when I saw you do, because I thought to myself, Kat always says to do squats. My knees are really bad, Jamie. I mean, I've had so much weight on me for so long. They're just bad. And I for sure have had moments just like you on the toilet where I couldn't get up. And still, Christ, and it's awful, because especially, and this sounds weird, but like if you are a very confident person and you are, your insiders are very, very strong. And when your outsides aren't, it's just really hard when that doesn't match, And so I know that feeling. And so like, I just thought it was really, I was so excited about that move that I would have never known if I hadn't seen you doing it with Mike. So in case you want to do squats and you have mobility issues, get your kettlebell and stand up and sit down. I put it on the podcast so that you guys have it, but that you just do it in a chair and just try to control, right, Jamie? That's right. Like, control your up and your down, right?
You control your up or down, and you use the chair. So that way, if it's too much, you're sitting down, you're not going to fall.
Yep.
And if you don't have kettlebells, start with a laundry detergent container.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Start with a gallon of water. Start with a backpack.
See?
Like you can use stuff around your house that they don't cost anything. And the part of this is, one, to keep your muscle, but it's also to prove to yourself that you can do this.
Yeah.
And once, as you're experiencing this now, Kim, once you are realizing I can do this, all of a sudden everything starts to change for you.
It does.
And you begin to see these things not as like the thing you have to do, but as the thing you get to do.
Yeah.
And when you view any sort of physical activity as something you get to do, it sure is it's way more fun and enjoyable to do it that way.
It's true. And it's, I've been talking about a lot lately about how when I exercise, I just start crying like out of nowhere. But I think it's that I work constantly, right? Like I'm always either doing this or my regular job, my family, all the things. But it's such a release, an emotional release, as well as a physical one, which I feel like people have been telling me my whole life, but I always hated it. Like I love to swim. You can't get me out of a pool. There's lots of things I'll do. I did all the fitness stuff growing up. I did dance. I did softball. I was a tennis player. I did all the things, and I was just average at everything. And I was kind of, oh God, my body was bigger and it hurt, and even young, my body was bigger and it hurt, but I was doing it, and I was doing it average, like most everybody else, And so I didn't ever like it. It wasn't until recently. And I'll tell you, even on GLP-1s, after losing all of that weight, I did lose muscle. Even though what I was doing was just walking in my neighborhood, my dog, and I was doing the kettlebell and I was doing resistance bands, and that's it. And I would just do a little bit of that every day, but it just wasn't enough. You know what I mean? And I also wasn't eating, I made all the mistakes in the land. I wasn't eating enough protein in the beginning and all that different stuff. And one day I went to go pick myself up, and this is after the weight loss, Jamie. And I had that feeling again, like we have had on the toilet. Right. And I was like, I'm weak. And I just all over again was like, oh, no, this is not going to happen, And that's why I do it. It helps my like mental health and my physical health. And I just think that it's take whatever baby steps you need to take, but there's so many things that you can do to just move your body. And I think just find a way to do it every day. I'm doing Jamie's challenge right now, which is 30-30, right, Jamie? You're going live tomorrow. So I think people can start it and do 30 days with us.
Yeah, you can start any day to do it, but it's so critical people find a way to incorporate resistance training as soon as they're physically able, even if it's just light. So like this will take, I'll do this in 30 seconds. I have visual aids here, by the way.
Oh yeah. So if you're not watching, go watch.
Yeah, if you're watching the video, you can watch it. If not,
you brought the fat thing.
If you're listening, you'll have to imagine it. Yeah.
And the
So
muscle.
I'm holding up a pound of fat and a pound of muscle.
Wow.
And let's say you're on a GLP-1 or any sort of weight loss journey, and let's say you lose 2 pounds. If you are not using your muscle, your body's going to say, I want to get rid of this because it's really expensive, because it burns a lot of energy to keep your muscle around. And the only way you keep it is by using it and eating protein. Yeah. So your body says, all right, I need to burn 2 pounds to stay alive today. Yeah. And you're giving it a choice. You can have it burn 2 pounds of fat, or a pound of muscle and a pound of fat, or maybe even just 2 pounds of muscle. Yeah. Now, in reality, you probably want to lose the 2 pounds of fat. On the scale, it all looks the same. And so that's why relying on the scale is not always the best idea when it comes to weight loss.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to keep your muscle, because if you lose your muscle and you keep your fat, even though the scale might be dropping, all you're doing is telling your body you need to burn way fewer calories with time. Yeah. And if you want to sustain your weight loss, whether it's with GLP-1 or bariatric or anything at all, the only way you're going to sustain your weight loss is to keep your muscle and get rid of the fat. And you only do that with resistance training and eating your protein. So that's why I encourage people to do this so much.
Say it again. I've only I'm not.
I love it.
I've only been saying it forever.
I know. Kat's been fussing at me forever. And I'm like, Kat, I walk and I do the resistance band. And she's like, Kim, I want you to move more, because her mom has Alzheimer's, and she's like, please just do more movement. And I was like,
no, she had dementia.
I'm fine.
That's also a little soapboxy, but yeah, the more active you are, less chances of dementia. Yeah. So,
but anyway, let's talk more about movement, muscle, and GLP-1s with our medical guest. What do you say?
Awesome.
All right. Hello, medical guest. Welcome in, Dr. Koons. How are you?
Hello, medical guest.
How are you? I feel like I've been backstage. Like, let me in. Let me in.
Nope. That's not how this works.
These questions that we had talked about, we're going to have to put those out the window, because from what Jamie has said, I already have a list of things that I want to talk about as well.
Let's do it.
What Jamie has said today.
That is great.
Jamie, your story is amazing.
So this whole episode is framed around Jamie's story, and kind of where Jamie is, and we're kind of all are at this sort of stage. I think on the journey, as opposed to people just getting started. So that's kind of how we've set the questions up, but it's not like we have to cover them. But the things that I really want to talk about are the things that we're discussing here around movement, about the importance of protein, vitamins, check-ins. What should your doctor be doing with you in the beginning? I think that if we could just start just with general, I always ask every doctor that comes on, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you help people?
Sure. So I'm a medical doctor, and my initial training, and I still practice anesthesiology. So, I went to medical school, and then I completed 4 years of residency in anesthesiology and perioperative medicine. And after I finished that, I was a practicing anesthesiologist. And, I have this interesting family history. So I decided to go get some genetic testing back to Alzheimer's disease, just as I'd finished my training. And I found out that I actually have the Alzheimer's gene, the ApoE4 gene, which increases my risk of developing Alzheimer's disease dramatically. And that really sent me down a rabbit hole. So, I really started studying genetics, and I worked with this lifestyle medicine practice to learn about how do you integrate lifestyle medicine and genetics together to really give personalized care to people. And through that, I got board certified in lifestyle medicine, and really found an interest in obesity medicine when I started my lifestyle medicine practice, because I found out early on that your body composition and your metabolic health are connected, but not as much as you would think. We had tons of people who would come in who were skinny. You would look at them and say, that person is skinny, and they're a metabolic nightmare, right? And it sort of goes back to what Jamie says. It's a little bit about what's your fat composition versus your muscle composition. And really that is all connected through genetics. And so I geek out on genetics, and I know our intention today was to talk a little bit about genetics and
definitely going to talk about
GLP-1s, but Jamie has made so many good points that I feel like I have to bring up some of these things in what limited time we have today.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important points that you made, Jamie, and it's a point that we try to force on our clients here. Cardio is great. You need to be cardiovascularly fit. But if you are on a weight loss journey, or you are struggling with obesity, strength training could be the most important thing that you do, because we have fantastic medications now to help you calorie restrict. And, 20 years ago, we were going to talk about calories in, calories out. And we know now it's just not that simple. And so you can do all the cardio you want, but sometimes you can do that to a fault. You really have to preserve muscle and build muscle, because muscle is metabolic currency, and muscle is what keeps you healthy. So when we go back to that person who comes in and, they have a body composition, they look normal, but they're a metabolic nightmare. It's because they're not strength training. A lot of those people are actually doing so much cardio that they're harming their bodies. And so I think that's a point that I just want to make, because we don't talk about that enough. We find people and we tell them just exercise. And when you say just exercise to someone with the disease of obesity, they think you mean go do some cardio. But what I mean when I say that is, and I tell people this all the time, go to Walmart, go to Target, get a kettlebell. Start with the kettlebell. And the back squat is the most studied exercise to increase testosterone in both men and women.
Really?
So we start telling people, grab a kettlebell, a light one, right? Start light. You don't have to start with a heavy kettlebell, and just get the mechanics down for how do you do a back squat to strengthen your glutes, strengthen your quad, strengthen your posterior chain.
Yeah. I love that. I have this thing that I'm saying right now, and I'm doing it on purpose. But sometimes I'm controversial too, Dr. Koons, and I do things to kind of incite.
I'm here for it.
I'm looking for a discussion. I really can't stand when doctors are still saying things like combine GLP-1s with diet and exercise. Like, I really do feel like it's movement and nutrition, because I think there are different kinds of movement. And I think that if you're talking with someone that, maybe doesn't do that regularly or whatever it may be, I think that like it's diet and exercise is in my opinion, like the way you say it, right? It seems very old compared to where we are now, And so I feel like focusing on different ways to move and like the nutrition, like what you put in your body is, I don't know. I just think it's like more like emotionally healthy for the brain if you've gone through what many of us have gone through, especially since childhood. So Kat and I have, like, we've struggled with our weight and obesity since we were children. We've been on diets. I've been on diet since I was 8. I carried the journal around with me on dates, the Weight Watchers journal. Like, I've been through some shit, So I just think that I think that a lot of doctors kind of fall back on the diet and exercise. I just think there's a better way to say things. Just like I think that there's a better way when someone comes into your doctor's office at PCP, for example, maybe ask them if they want to discuss their weight and put them in a place to be able to like receive the message. Because I think that we all kind of come in defensive because and shamed and feeling bad about it. Right. And I just feel like there's another way to talk about it. Now, I know you do something different in your practice. And I'm curious, how do you talk about it? Like, do you just say strength training? Like, because I would prefer that than someone to tell me to diet and exercise, to be honest. So we've had people tell us that they go into weight loss clinics and someone just gives them a piece of paper with like an 800 calorie diet and goes, go do that.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
I think people have ideas when they hear diet and exercise. When you hear diet and exercise, you think, okay, don't eat.
Yes.
That's a diet, right? And go run.
Yes.
That's exercise, right? So essentially they're hearing don't eat, go run.
Yes.
And those are so counterintuitive, because if you don't eat, you're going to metabolically mess yourself up. And if all you're doing is so much cardio, you will also metabolically mess yourself up. Right. Now, I don't want to discount the fact that cardio is great for you. Sure. We know that VO2 max, which is a measure of how cardiorespiratory fitness is, how fit you are cardio and respiratory, that's your VO2 max. And you can measure that through a wearable. A lot of these wearables now, and there are many of them, will measure this very accurately. Like, I love the Whoop. A lot of people use their Apple Watch. That one is very accurate with VO2 max measurements if you wear it while you work out. Oura Ring is another one that tons of people use. This is sort of how I see it play out in this practice. We ask people to use some type of wearable depending on how much they can afford. And most women choose to wear an Oura Ring because they're just more comfortable wearing rings. And most men choose to wear the Whoop because they're just more comfortable wearing this. But these wearables can track your VO2 max, which shows you calculations on how fit are you from a cardiorespiratory perspective. And that is very important. But when we're talking about losing weight and metabolic health, you have to separate that out. So I want you to be cardiorespiratory fit and still metabolically healthy. And so that means you have to do both. You have to do some cardio, but strength training is unbelievably important.
Yeah.
We could go
also
through
more fun, I think, don't you?
What's more fun? What is more fun?
Training, you know?
It is.
I love my spin classes, but I do spin and strength. So like while we're riding, we're lifting weights.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not giving up my cycle bar.
And I think a kettlebell is the most versatile thing that you can buy. They are affordable. They are accessible, and you can do so many things with them, right? You can work on your lower body. You can work on your upper body. And Kim, I know you talked about your knees and the pain that you have in your knees. So, I'm an anesthesiologist, and I'm in a lot of surgeries, and we do tons of knee replacements in the United States. In fact, if you look at Medicare spending, knee replacement is a huge portion of Medicare spending. So what can you do to protect your knees? You have to sort of protect them before you cause the damage. That's for sure. Because once the damage is there, that's structural damage, and you'll need a knee replacement. But if you can engage your quads, you can engage your glutes, and you can keep your posterior chain or your back muscles engaged, you will protect your knees. Right. So until you need the knee replacement, it's never too late to try to strengthen the quad muscle. Because if you can strengthen the quad muscle, you will put protection on the knee.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's very important. Yeah.
I love that.
Do static lunges help strengthen the tendons in the knees?
So the tendons are more difficult to strengthen. You're really sort of built with the tendons. You can strengthen them somewhat, but some people just have weaker tendons. But if you strengthen the muscle, you will strengthen the tendon as well. Yeah, and static lunges like Bulgarian split squats or static lunges, those are great for that. And those are also great for the core and engaging the core, which is a really important part of posture. And, back pain is a huge problem in the disease of obesity. And so if you have a strong core, you can sort of help that and maybe alleviate some of the back pain. So I think the Bulgarian split squat, which is one of my least and most favorite exercises in the gym, is just a fantastic one because it also works on agility. And that's an important part of it as well.
It's tough. It makes your bum really work hard too.
Is that the one you did in the hotel, Kat, that you did the video of you doing in the hotel?
That's why I chose violence. Yeah. I did a Bulgarian squats in the gym that Thursday at the OAC. That's why my legs were sore. I kind of got overzealous doing Bulgarian squats. Yep.
And I think Jamie, you said I'm sorry, Kim. I want to make this last point. You said perfect is the enemy of good in the gym, and I totally agree with that. I tell people this all the time. We're all busy, right? Everyone is busy. That's just the American way right now.
Yeah.
But you can find 15 minutes, and that's probably not enough over the long term. But if you did 15 minutes every day, look at how you change your life. And it doesn't have to be 15 minutes that are unbelievably intense. Start from zero and just make yourself do a little bit more each day. And I know I talk a lot about VO2, but I want to harp on one more point that I think is so important. Okay. So if we test all of our VO2 maxes and we sort of put us in, quartiles, the lowest quartile versus the highest quartile, and we match that against how does the survival curve look? If you can go from sedentary to just active, not supreme or, not even, very active. If you go from sedentary to active, that's where you change the survival curve, right? You don't have to be unbelievably fit to change your survival curve. You just have to go from sedentary to active. And that's the most massive improvement. And then if you can improve from active to very active or like athlete, that's good, but you really don't change the survival curve much there. So, Jamie, when you talk about living for 3 more years, I think you'll probably make it because you've went from sedentary to active. So it's that initial, you got to get that momentum going at first and go from finally moving. And that's where you change your survival.
Yeah. I'd love, I feel like Jamie has a question. I don't know why. I just can tell in your face you don't. Okay. It just feels like it.
I was going to say, I'm an athlete. I'm not active. I'm an athlete now.
That's right.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. But that's the next phase, right? Yep. Like, I think I do remember in the beginning not being able to move very much. And I was like, I need to move. And so I was like, okay, I had hurt my back. And so I was like, I am going to keep up with my laundry and my dishes. And so every day I did a load of dishes and a load of laundry. I never let it pile up. And that was my movement. And then after a while I was like, what if I move with more intention? And then after that, I was just eating a little bit less. And then after that, I was like, what if I ate with more intention? And like just the fact that I could do that with the medicine, that my brain had kind of been freed up, I think was probably, that's what changed my life. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications. And I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. and I had hot flashes and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause and I started HRT and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through this same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you have this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need. Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name Zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost-effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plussides with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plussides with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.